Take my hand.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Stellar Blade drops, what is it, Friday? It's been a topic of conversation. Big one. We've discussed it here on the channel quite a bit. Actually, it's been one of the games I've done a lot of videos on because I think it shows more than one thing. It shows the contempt that a lot of games journals have for audiences. It shows that sort of disconnect and the divisiveness of how people view the female body in various forms of media. And it just shows how if you, I don't know, give customers what they want, and Stellar Blade being an example of, look, you started with the Project Eve thing, if I'm not mistaken, push out an idea, and then it's a timing thing. Because in any maybe other era, Stellar Blade is just another cool looking action game, maybe RPG game that some people are looking forward to. And it looks great. Combat's great. And those that are in those types of games are going to absolutely love it. But it is amplified. I don't think it's artificial, but it is amplified because the times are telling you that, well, chicks looking like this in games is something that's inappropriate. The times are telling you that there's a lot of uglifying of the women in these video games. So when you get something that's just refreshing, even if it's not reinventing the wheel, that's just refreshing, well, you may get maybe a boost that you otherwise would not have got. I don't think that's artificial. I just think that it's just more a case of the times. But speaking of games urinalists, Stellar Blade and the Male Gaze. This is coming from Inverse. Written by Issy Vandervelde. The upcoming sci-fi action RPG from Korean studio Shift Up has been thrust into the center of gaming culture wars that seem as old as gaming itself. The fight can be most clearly seen of late in the vocal pushback against narrative consulting company Sweet Baby Inc., which we've talked about, for pushing to have more diverse female characters. A few select Steam and Twitter users are up in arms. Now these vocal few are praising the buxom and bouncy protagonist, Stellar Blade Eve. They say evokes a time they miss when women in games used to be titillating and attractive. She caters to the so-called male gaze. An academic coin by film theorist Laurie in 1973, the male gaze is often portrayed as a scantily-clad woman on screen, being bad. Developer Shift Up appears to be leaning into the male gaze heavily. On its Twitter account and interviews, it has made sure to draw close attention to the fact Eve's body is taken from scans of Korean model Shin Jae-yoon's. Game director Kim Hyung-tae, probably butchered that, justify the choice of the body model, saying we wanted to come up with the most attractive looking body for the user. Imagine a Western developer saying that. They would never say that. Even if they did it, they never say that. Go show the cultural differences, man, between here and the East, man. Because imagine being the actual game director saying, yeah, bro, we wanted to come up with the most attractive looking body for the people that play the game. That's crazy. I could not imagine a Western developer even considering uttering those words. That's crazy to me. Instagram trailers focusing on revealing outfits players can dress Eve up in. Shift Up did not return a request for comment. What is there else to talk about? Denny points out that this is textbook male gaze. Attractive to who? Asked Denny. To what gender? What sexuality? What nationality? A lot in that choice is assuming a lot of things about who developers think the game is going to be. While Eve's body was made from a scan of Shin's, her face was made in-house. Yes, they've talked about that. They didn't choose an athlete or martial artist or even an actor. You don't want Shin as a performer. You want her from the neck down. It seems to be very much a statement of the parts of this woman that are of value. Okay, so because I guess they scanned her from the neck down, they're griping that they didn't use the chick's face and they used a more customized face. So apparently that means that I guess the chicks that doesn't make, does it stop being a woman? Like, well, that doesn't even make sense. Does it stop being a woman? Like when you see mocap on sports games, Is that like the female gaze when they do crossovers and shit? I don't know. Or the wrestling game, like what does that even mean when they don't use the face of the obviously the person that's mocapping it, but they use their body? Dr. Poppy Wild, senior lecturer in media and communication at Birmingham School of Media, explains the male gaze isn't so simple in video games. If we're thinking about gaze as creating a subject position, it isn't the same as looking at an object, because the avatar is kind of active subject in that as well. Based on the trailers, Eve seemed rather active participant, but the recently released demo paints a different picture. While Eve may demonstrate mastery in combat outside of the battle, her absent personality makes her more of a doll than an action figure. So they're saying that Eve doesn't have a personality. The lack of performance attached to Eve's body has already been noted by internet culture. It's just all of these women are ironically, who is this? Let me see who this is. Let's take a look together while that's loading up. Oh, maybe I'm blocked, so I won't be able to view that. Except when she's on a ladder, she just stands there. She's sexy but doesn't know it. She's athletic and acrobatic but entirely controllable. If she could move herself, it would rather shatter the illusion of many of the gamers championing her. What? Because she'd have the agency to be. It's a video game. So it's like this person is trying to set it up like, well, you wouldn't feel that way if you couldn't control her. Why am I playing this game if I can't control the character? The fuck? That doesn't even make sense. The way we gauge changes in video games, as it often depends on the differences present between gameplay and cutscenes. A lot of the time, we aren't really looking at the avatar. We're looking at the avatar, or looking through the avatar and with the avatar. This is the most obvious in Stellar Blades combat. All eyes are on the enemies, waiting for an opening counter dodge. Eve is a blur, defying any gaze that would seek to isolate one part of her body from the devastating. Well, yeah, because it's a combat, I guess. I don't see the problem there. During the cutscenes, that perspective and the games changes because it's a fucking cutscene. It doesn't. There's something there in showing the physical potential that of that body type with the combat and athleticism. It's not just nice to look at. Then you get to the cutscenes, and every single one of those narrative sequences starts with the camera being pointed at her bum. That's doing something different. And they go on and they're griping about the male gaze. You guys can read this through in verse. This is my position. I'm going to give you my position on this. I don't think women that aren't like actual women that like play games, okay, and actually women that like maybe consume some sort of media, unless they're if they're truly into it, like if something that interests them, because yes, I do see leftist women particularly that aren't really into that medium will have a problem with how women are depicted in said medium. I think we've seen a lot of that, but I don't think anybody that is into that medium, woman or man, has an issue with a certain, like a chick looking a certain way, right? As far as like attractive. I don't think that's ever been a problem. It certainly wasn't back in the Gap, but now it is. But I think it's because it's become more normie centric. There's a lot of non-gamers. I mean, ask these Kotaku dipsticks that actually got very, very angry because they had to start from the top. They wanted them to start doing video game guides, which will require them to actually, I don't know, play video games. Like actually play games. And I always go back to this. I know I repeat myself, but I will conclude with this because it's the truth. Men do not look at male bodies like this. I don't know if you guys, let's go to one of the most, if not the most popular, at least worldwide anime in Dragon Ball Z particularly. I don't know if you guys have seen Goku, but this he has cuts where you can't get cuts. And oftentimes in battle, not oftentimes, every time in battle, his shirt's gonna get cut off at some point, and next thing you know, it's just his fucking pants off, is on, not off, but his shirt's off, and we see all his fucking cuts. And never once has a man that I know has he ever said that man, that's the female gaze. Man, that is putting a unrealistic portrayal of the male body. That is unacceptable because it will leave this impression on these young men that they can obtain that and or that's the only thing that's valuable about. I've never heard any man think like that ever. Though often, even in the games where you might have these types of chicks that are attractive, you'll also, in a lot of the same games, you'll have these dudes got their shirt off with cuts. And instead of the conversation being just like, hey, man, maybe these are guys that and gals that are in just the absolute peak condition and they kind of fit the form idea of what people look at as in the utmost attractive, male or female. Instead of looking at it like that, they focus instead on the women that are there and say, well, y'all are too attractive and therefore male gaze and therefore bad. It is a different phenomenon because I've never heard it on the other side of the foot when dealing with like the male characters in these games, movies, and all other forms of entertainment. Thanks for watching. Right now, the Rippaverse is in the middle of our latest campaign, Yaira #1, which was written by the Saskas. Head over to Rippaverse.com, pre-order, and check out our first live-action trailer and the latest Rippaverse Studios production, Y'all Be Easy.